Yo, let's go and welcome to the video. Balance Druids have been bugged since the launch of Phase 2 in Season of Discovery, and there's been some work done, but we're not quite there yet to fix all the bugs. So the first bug I want to talk about is the Spell Power Coefficient bug of Starsurge. Throughout all of Phase 1 and the first couple days of Phase 2, Starsurge had a 1 spell power coefficient, meaning every single spell power granted you 1 extra damage to the spell. That has since changed, and it's kind of like Fire Blast for mages, where to find the spell power coefficient, you take the spell cast, which since it's instant is 1.5, and you divide it by 3.5. So now the new spell power coefficient is 0.429. That fix went live alongside a nerf to the base damage of Starsurge, reducing it by 35%. Which, sure, maybe Starsurge was tuned a bit too high back in Phase 1 and needed to be brought back down a little bit, but fixing the spell power coefficient and adding a 35% damage reduction to the base of the spell makes it hit really, really low now. And to counteract that, Blizzard gave Starsurge a brand new buff, so every time you use Starsurge, whether it resists or not, you get a 15-second buff that is supposed to increase the next Starfire's damage by 66%, but this is a brand new bug because it's not actually giving 66% damage. We'll get into that a little bit more in just a minute, but the second bug that was in at the launch of Phase 2 has to do with our Eclipse rune. There's supposed to be 70% spell pushback reduction for Wrath and Starfire, and for the first couple days that part of the rune was not working, but that has since been fixed. So we've had 2 bugs discussed so far. Both have been fixed. We've got a brand new bug, but now the last bug that hasn't been fixed is Starsurge is gaining way too much crit value from the Eclipse rune, which a lot of people are thinking that it is double dipping from the previous data mined Eclipse, where Wrath and Starfire had 30% crit attached to both of those Eclipse buffs. Now the Lunar proc only reduces Starfire's cast time by 1 second, but there could still be that 30% phantom crit attached to that buff, meaning Starsurge has an average crit of well over 60%. So it might look like we're doing decent on the damage meters right now in Nomer, but we also have a bug that's buffing one of our highest damage GCDs. Well, used to be our highest damage GCD. But as of this video, that crit percentage has not been fixed. That bug is still live. You can check it out yourself. Go just Starsurge a bunch of random mobs. I did this in Mulgore, and my Starsurge crit percentage was like 80%. But back to the damage reduction of Starsurge and this new buff that's supposed to buff our Starfire. There's been a tweet that's recently come out making me think both of these things might be changed. We might get a little bit of damage back to the base of the spell, and I think they're going to rethink having such a high damage proc given to Starfire, and I'll show you why. If we take a look at level 40, this is what our current Starsurge non-crit is going to look like, as long as you have 5 points in Moon Fury, with 200 spell power, 225 spell power, and 250 spell power, which is kind of towards full best in slot. So not that high at all, and then just double that as a crit, and you're like 650 or so Starsurge crit on average with 200 spell power, and then it slowly goes up. Now the Starfire down here is what it's supposed to hit for if it's getting 66% increased damage from the Starsurge. And again, these are non-crits, so 757 non-crit is about a 1500 crit with 200 spell power. And the net Starfire damage scales pretty well. An extra 50 spell power getting up to 250 spell power adds about 83 extra damage, which would make the average crit about 1700. Then I added a little bit more spell power, scaled us up to level 50. Starsurge doing a little bit more damage. We're almost up to 500 average Starsurge with 325 spell power. But just take a look at Starfire with the extra 66% damage. We'd be getting over 2500 Starfire crits with a 1.5 second cast time with Nature's Grace and the Eclipse proc. Might as well take a look at level 60. So I just gave a little bit more spell power Starsurge finally over 600 average damage, but Starfire we'd be critting well over 3,000 if this 66% damage was fixed and then continued on through the phases as is. So the downside to Starfire though is the crit percentage is very low. It's only your base crit percentage. There's no talents that add crit. Flips doesn't add crit. So yes, it has a very high crit potential, but we wouldn't likely see too many crits. They'd be pretty few and far between, but when you would get them, you would know. So in phase 2 at the beginning, we got to see what it was like for boomkins to actually have a big boom. Now that power's shifted from Starsurge to Starfire, which has some big boom potential. So we'll have to wait and see what these new changes are going to be. If we'll still have some nice burst, or are they going to change it and spread it out over into Wrathcast somehow? Who knows what they're going to do, but in a couple days, we will find out. I got that boom, 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 that boom, boom, boom. Oh,